Hey everybody, Damien here. Welcome back to Kreationz DIY, and I got a really cool project for you today. So if you're like me and you like doing a lot of house projects, that means you have a lot of tools and what your significant other or anyone else you live with, like family, probably considers junk. Like I have all these little things of nails, different size wood nails, and a whole big cabinet just full of stuff that I've used. Because when you do projects, sometimes you don't use all the nails, all the screws, all the pieces of wood for your project, so you have leftovers. And we like to recycle those leftovers and make free items. So today I made a free item. I made this shelf behind me here. You see the red and yellow on the end? I got my plumbing up. I got all this stuff up off the ground. It's like 250 pounds per level. And I'm going to show you how I did this with free scrap wood and free plywood. And some of the shelves, the plywood didn't even fit across the shelf. But I took like two sections and then I took a little piece and I solidified that and made it a little stronger. So I probably saved myself a good $100 going and buying 1,000-pound shelf. Like it can hold 1,000 pounds. But the difference is this might have took me a couple hours to build, but I got it to the exact specifications that I want. I got it to where it's long enough to where it doesn't go past the door. I could still get through, and wide enough to where I wanted it exactly. Now, you're not going to get that when you go to any kind of store and you go buy a shelf. When you go buy a shelf, you're going to spend $150 for 1,000 shelf. If you go to somewhere nice and you get a little bougie chrome one, maybe $200. I don't know. But I know I just went to Harbor Freight and they were selling crappy plastic ones that held like 300 pounds total. And I think they were $70 on sale. I'm not doing that. So if you got wood laying around, or you have a friend that has some wood laying around, or you just want to buy a couple pieces of wood, you can still do this craft. But we're using scrap wood because it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to function. So let's get right into this project. I noticed that I just have a lot of water and stuff that I've been saving, and it takes up a lot of room. So I'm going to build a heavy shelf. I have a lot of 2x4s that I ripped out from another project and saved them. And now we're going to use all those as free wood to build a shelf. And I'll show you why I'm going to build it and where I'm going to build it. And I'm going to save so much money doing this myself than going out and buying it. And I can make it exactly the size we want. So let's take a look and see what we're getting into here. So right here I have some water. And these are 5 gallons. 5 of them have never been opened and 1 has been opened and resealed. So because this water and a lot of water and things that I save takes up a lot of spot, I have this corner spot here next to my cabinet downstairs that we're going to make a portable shelf that we can take with us anywhere we go. So I measured out how far it would be across the water to get from one side to another, and that came out to about 32. It was like 31 and a quarter, 32 for the long one. And we're not going to go all the way across because you want to have some kind of walking room here. So we're going to go 17 out. So this is about 1 3/4 inches. So it's going to be like 18 3/4, almost 19 out, and then another lip. So that should cover most of this. And then we're going to put a flat sheet on there that's 3/8 thick on top to make our shelf. Once we make all the platforms the same size, I'm going to put the 2 legs up here, 1, 2 on each side sticking out because I don't want it to be any thicker, and 1, 2 on that side. So let's go ahead and start cutting these legs up, these bridges up, the frame for underneath the shelf, each one itself. And then as we go forward, I'll show you what I'm doing to get ahead. So I already cut enough of these that are 17-inch because I was just trying to hurry up and do this project. And then I was like, oh my God, what if somebody has like extra wood laying around the house, or knows someone that has like a couple old 2x4s? You see they're different age, different types of wood even. Some of these are redwood, and some of these are just the new school pine. But I cut all of them with my circular saw. And I'm gonna take you outside with me and show you how I cut a couple of more. So the first thing I did was I scavenged around for boards that were a little bit longer than what I needed. So these two are the ones I did the mock-up on. I cut the first one, let's just say 32, and then I marked it off on the other board and I cut that one as well. I mocked it up and it made a good size. I like it. So then I don't have to measure anymore. So I already did the measure when I cut the first one where I wanted it at 32. And then if that's where I want it, then all I have to do is put this board on top and then take a pencil and mark it. Put this board on top, make sure that they're flat in the back, and then mark it. And then, you know, again and again and again. And even if you're off by like a millimeter or 2 millimeters when you're measuring each time when you make the cut, you might get a little bit of awkwardness when you're screwing it together. But if you cut one and you like where it's at and you measured it and you put it up against whatever you're doing, then just mark it off every single one, because if you're a millimeter off, you'll be a millimeter off on all of them for building a shelf, and they'll all fit snug together. So now that we have two that work, I have the rest of these I'm going to cut. I'm going to show you real quick how to cut with the circular saw, and then we're going to start drilling holes in these for the pilot hole, and then those are where the screws are going to be so we can put these frames together. Okay, so I don't have all that fancy tables and all that kind of stuff, so I just have 2 buckets from old spackle that I use all the time, and they're about the same height, so I'm going to use that as a table. And then this is the circular saw that we'll be using. I've had it for a long time. They don't even make this kind of battery anymore. Just make sure that your battery is always up to 100 before you start doing this, because you don't want to be getting halfway through a board and your battery's dead, and then you try to go back and get that straight angle again. So this is pretty easy. It's got a little thing here where you have to push down like safety, and then you pull the trigger in and it operates. I left the safety thing on. When it hits the wood, it'll open up itself and it's all ready to go. So let's just grab one. And here's my line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this divot right here where the arrow is on the line, and try to put the blade tip on the line down here as well. Now I'll back it up just about a millimeter. Cut the line straight through, and there it is. Now I know that it's cutting a little rough. I need a new blade, but this is a shelf and we're probably just gonna make it and stick it up. I really don't care too much about this shelf. Eventually this shelf will probably go into my shop. Once I put it in the shop, I'll paint it or do whatever I want. But this is just how you cut. And then we're gonna cut a couple more so you can see it. Wear your hearing protection. You'll thank me in the long run. All right, so now I'm just gonna pre-drill the holes here. Make sure you get a drill bit that is smaller than the nail you're gonna put in, but as long as the thickness of the wood. I wanna make sure it goes all the way through. So so we're to that point to where we made the frames, and then now we have to make like the bottom sheet or whatever you're gonna put it on, the actual shelf part besides the frame. So I found these old pieces of wood. This used to be a roof on an old garage, and when I cut them all off and the other guys were cutting them off, I saved all of these long panels just to do other projects in, because It's a little over a half. I don't exactly know what the number is, but it's not 3/4. So it's somewhere in that vicinity. So 5/8 maybe. So what I want to do is I'm going to use these for the shelf, but they've been sitting for a while. They have some cobwebs on them and some bugs and stuff. They were sitting under a tarp. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to wash them down. I'm going to hit them really good with the hose. I'm going to wash them down with some soap, and then I'm going to set them all out and put the frame piece on top of them, and then just kind of mark it out where the frame piece is so I know it's exact, and then cut them out with the little circular saw and start screwing them together. So let's get a little work done. Alright, she's looking kind of good. We're going to flip her over to do the other side. Then we're going to set this out in the sun for a little bit and get the next one on. So by the time this one is dry, we'll have all the other ones washed and keep on moving. Alright, so I made a little progress. I made a bunch of these squares. So this is going to be the bottom frame of the shelf. And then these are going to be the legs, these long pieces. So the height of my ceiling to the rafter in the basement is 85. So I cut them at 85. I have to cut that little piece off. I cut one. I take it in, I make sure it's the size that I want, and if it is, I just lay the piece of wood down on the other legs I'm going to make and make the line at the same place. That way they're all the same size. I did that with this as well, and then I just take one of these because they're all the same size. I have 4, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the top layer of the shelf. So I just laid that on a piece of wood, and I traced around, and then I just cut it out with the little circular saw here. I was going to do one on camera, but it feels like this video is getting a little long, so I just wanted to hurry up and show you. So this, you could make it like this and have a wall around it and the floor on the bottom so your things don't fall out, or you can make it like this and make it on the bottom and have your tabletop on the top, but you know what I mean? Like you don't have that safety to fall off. Well, I need all the strength on the bottom, and because I'm going to be putting a lot of heavy stuff. I'll probably be putting around 150, 200 pounds on each one of these shelves. So that's 1,000 pounds. So I need a big, strong, firm frame on the back and 2x6 for the legs. Now this is all scrap wood that I had. I tore down another project. These are all pieces out of an old roof that I took off of a garage, and I kept all the wood and cut it down into pieces that I thought that I'd be able to use later, and now I'm doing all these projects with free wood. Now you can also paint this and make it look a little nicer, but it's only going in the utility room. It's just going to be for storage for tools and like some heavy stuff, motors or something like that. Or I might put it in my garage. So I really don't care about it. If you wanted, you could just paint it. Now I did wash all the wood as well because the wood has been stored outside, so you don't want to bring any bugs or eggs or mold, mildew, any of that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and cut this leg. I'm going to put this tabletop away. So once I cut this, I just laid this down on the scrap pieces of wood that I had, circled it out, and made 4 of the same. I mean, it has a little blemish right here, you know, where the wood was chipped before I was cutting it out, but I really don't care because this is a little makeshift shelf, and if I was going to buy a shelf with 4 layers on it to do maybe 1,000 pounds, I'm probably looking at what, $75 to make that. and doing all that with free with just wood that, like, maybe a buddy has a bunch of wood in their garage or in their backyard and they don't want it. You know, just ask them, can I have some of that wood? I want to make a shelf and clean up some of the room in my basement or my utility room so I can be more organized, you know? And then I just kind of took pieces of wood like this, and then I just kind of measured it out and cut it off or cut it whatever way I need to be. And then whatever was left over, you know, I cut 2 out of this because it's long. Whatever was left over, I'll keep this for another, you know, another project or something. So we're going to cut this leg down right here real quick. This will be 85. We just got to take this little piece off. Now we're at 85. Then what I'll do is I'll bring the next big board down, lay it here. I'll put this board on top of it. I'll mark it off, move this board out of the way, and then I'll just cut that again, and then they're all going to be the same size. Then after that, I found a bunch of screws that I barely, my buddy gave me, he used to be a roofer, gave me all these screws in his shed, like thousands of them, because he built a lot of projects too, but you know, he's in his 50s, he's getting a little older, he doesn't want to do that crap anymore. He's retired, he wants to have fun, you know? So he gave me all these screws, but a lot of them were in mixed jars, like thrown in a bucket. It took me, I think, 2 weeks to go through a couple thousand screws and put them all together. But now I get all these free screws to do projects as well. So I'm going to show you the screws that we're going to use. And you could use just about anything, but I would use a fatter screw, longer, fatter screw for a project that you're going to be using a lot of weight with. And by doing that, you're going to have to drill out some holes, some pilot holes first, because it's going to be so hard to push those big screws through the wood, and you don't want to crack the wood. You've done all this work. I've been working on this for 2 days now. So I don't want to crack the wood and then I have to cut another piece and start over. Just do it right the first time. Find a drill bit that's just a little bit skinnier than your screw. Drill it through. Get the screw on there. I'm telling you, you might waste 2 minutes doing the pilot holes, but the screws are going to go right in way faster. Save your drill battery by not trying to push down so hard. A lot of torque to get some of these down. And this is old school wood. This is old school redwood. These aren't like the 2x6s that we have now that are a little bit under 2 and a little bit under 6. These are actually 2" by 6" old school. And when you cut these, they smell like cherry or oak. So they're going to smell really good in your house as well. I'm hoping that when I keep this down there, it'll make the whole downstairs, actually this is cedar wood. It'll make the whole downstairs smell like cedar for at least a year, you know? So let me get back to work, and when I have one more frame of those boxes to make. I'm going to show you how to make that box frame and screw it together. Then we're going to screw the top panel on, and once we have all the panels done, we're going to slap the legs on and start filling it up. All right, so this is kind of what I'm going for. I was going to put the board on top of the frame. So I made the square frame, you know, and I have 3 of them done already. So, and then I was just going to have a little extra. If I have a little extra, then I can get almost 5 of these across. If I do it with the boards, the bottom under and this frame around, it's exactly where it is across this way, but I lose a little bit here and a little bit behind. But then there's security that it's not going to fall off. Now, I was thinking if I flip it over and do it from the top, then in the back I can have that flat, but in the front I can just have like a little bump. I screw a little like piece of molding or something in there just to keep stuff from rolling off. So I'm going to figure out what I want to do first. I'm going to look around in the wood scrap pile and see what I have. And then we'll find something for free to see. So I might do this. I might do the other way. I might do this for the water for 2 stacks, and then make it flat on top for the next two up to put bigger boxes on. And this way it locks the water down. So I'll have the water, you know, the backup water just in case, the drinkable water here. And then I have one leg done. So I have one leg, it's 85 all the way up, and I got it as close as I could to the rafter on top. And then I made a brother over here, you know, the same leg. I did two more, but they're dirty because I have to clean the wood. So the wood's still outside. I'm gonna put those together, and then we're gonna get into screwing these legs in, and then just putting stuff on there and checking it out. I don't think I'm gonna paint it because a lot of the other shelves and stuff are wood in here. It's like it's a basement. You know what I mean? Utility room. So it's all open. So I think I'm just gonna leave it wood. But if you painted this, it would look a lot better. I would just paint it with house paint. And that's it. Just like some gloss paint so that you can wash it, and that'll be it.
Make them natural allies, but it doesn't always work out.
She wants to get in the video. She won't let me do any work. I'm trying to set up the camera, and she's just all over. Huh. I haven't put her on any videos on this channel anymore. Meadow! My girl. Alright, so we're just gonna, I just drilled this one right here. We're just gonna drill another pilot hole here so we can get that screw through. And then I have a couple of free screws, so some are different lengths, so I'm gonna pair up one short one with one extra long one. And it's only going through the 2x4, so it's really gonna get in there. And then you can see this one is even long enough, but I only have a few of these shorter ones, so that's all right. We're putting 250 pounds on each shelf at least, so we need to have these kind of screws, you know what I'm saying? So after you drill all these holes, then you're just I'm gonna move the leg over and get it set up. You see I have the leg underneath, and I'm gonna change the head, put the screw in the hole here, and we're just gonna push down using the force of our body and the force of the ground to hold it in place so we can push through. So make sure you're lining up the leg correctly, because once you put one in, you have a little wiggle room to move back and forth, but you can't slide it, you know what I'm saying? So I go in just a little bit to make sure it's set. Make sure you're on torque. And then once I go in, I check to see if it's moved a little bit. It did move a little bit. And I just kind of hold it and push my body up against there. And go in. Now we'll get this long one in. Do the same thing. Thing. So that long one was really like overkill. It went like this much in. But I just, like I'm saying, most of these projects that I'm doing are free. This was all free wood, and I just cut it up. So instead of spending $100 to go get this, you can spend $100 and go to Harbor Freight and get a little circular saw and a crappy little drill with battery. And now you own these two tools, you know what I mean, with $100 instead of buying the one shelf. And if you buy the one shelf, it might not even be the size you want. You can custom make this, you know, and now the drill is mine forever. Okay, so this is the top that I'm gonna put on, and then you see we got the frame underneath. So it is about the same size when I found this piece of wood in my pile as I was going through. So I didn't cut the width, I did cut the length. So like right here, it's perfect. And then as it goes on the side, it's about an inch, and it goes to a half an inch, quarter, and then flat. But I don't really care about this because it's going in my garage or in my utility room here. I'm building it into the wall here. So I could paint this, it would look better, but I didn't cut it perfect. Now, if the wood was a little wider and it was cut at a funky angle, I would have cut it straight, thrown that little sliver away to the fireplace, and then measured it. But there's a little nick out of the back as well. But we're going to be putting boxes and like you see these waters underneath, these big waters on here to save, and some rice and stuff. Heavy stuff, usually in boxes. This little bit isn't going to matter. If you're a perfectionist and this little thing matters to you, then just go ahead right now and cut off the video, because this is not a beautiful, this is recycling and reusing and going in your like garage or something. So this is how to do DIY projects and how to save money. You know, I'm making enough money to get this drill and the circular saw for free by using extra wood that no one else would have ever used again. You know what I mean? And throw it out. So now I'm just going to take these screws. Now these screws are a little dirty because they came out of another project that I did. I think this was old drywall that I had in a shed that we tore down. So I tore all the screws back out. They still have some of the little drywall stuff, but they're in great condition. The heads are in great condition. So now we're going to attach the top plate to the frame with just these. So these are going to be free as well. So now I'm just going to take those used wood screws and then just kind of line it up on here a little bit, you know. And I'm not putting them in any specific order or whatever. I'm just going to go all the way around and kind of seat it in. I'll probably do 4 on that side and 1 in each middle. Then I have the table already done. I'm going to do all 4 of these, and then I'm just going to go ahead and start locking these legs in. So just to show you a little trick, I have the first one in at 22 inches. I did 22 inches up, and that touches the top of the board here. And then now I have all 4 legs set. I had to pull it out from the wall to be able to screw it in. So now I want to put a bunch of these water bottles. They're old soda bottles that I cleaned and took the glue off. And now I'm using these as backup water. So I only want it high enough to where these bottles fit. That way I don't leave like 2 or 3 inches in there and waste space. So what I did was I put each one on a 2x4, and then that'll give me that much room to put the bottle up in and set it. So what's going to happen is when I set the new shelf flat on top of these 4 bottles, it'll be up another 2 inches high, so I can screw it in evenly. You know, I don't even have to measure it anymore. I already have the shelves. Again, this isn't a beautiful shelf. This is for use, not for beauty. All right, guys, so it's a little cold, and I haven't kicked the fire on today, so I got a nice old school flannel on. It's got like it's got a liner in it, but it's a little deeper. It's got a liner instead of having a jacket. But I want to show you. So the shelf is all done, and it looks amazing, and I can't believe how much floor that I can see, because it took up so much more room, and it took a lot of room out of my storage thing as well. And I'm going to show you the difference right now. So as you can see, these boxes in this storage room, you know, we're doing all the repair. We got tile, we got like all the tools. This is all houseware, fixing stuff. So whenever we are ready for the day, we come down here and we get all the stuff that we need, materials and stuff. But it's really crammed because I just have so many things that it's hard to organize. You know, I try to organize all these little bottles and stuff and keeps things separated. But I just didn't have any room. So look at the shelf. Look at the shelf. Look, we got our tubing out of the way. That is huge. 2 huge rolls of 50-foot plumbing, hot and cold. And now that's up, taller than me, you know? And then I took a little nail and I put them in all these different places to hold all this little stuff up now. So I can just come here anytime I need to and just grab something. Like I need this extension, I need this small tape measure, I need to sharpen a pencil, I need electrical tape, I need safety glasses and safety protection, I need some string, a quick little level, 2 big levels. I mean, it's just ready to go. So let's get a far look at it. So I didn't put a shelf base on the bottom, so we could stick 6 of those 5 gallons in there. There's 30 gallons of water. And then all these little waters that I cleaned out and purified, that's storage water also. There's 30 gallons down there, 40 gallons on the rest of the shelf here. So I have 76 gallons total right now, just, you know, in case water line breaks or they have to shut it off to clean it, or there's a fire in the neighborhood or whatever. You know, I'd rather have some water ready to go than not have some, you know. But the shelf looks rustic. You know what I mean? I didn't finish it. I didn't sand it down all nice. I'm not going to stain it. I'm not going to paint it. It looks like the rest of the unfinished utility room here. So this is like a basement. This is what you put in your basement. You know what I mean? If you wanted to finish it, then you just sand it. Or you could build the same thing and get a little better wood, but this wood was free. And all these little screws were free from my buddy Freddie down the street. So he used to be a roofer, and he gave me all these nails because they've been sitting in his storage. He doesn't use them anymore. And I'll put them to good use. You know, some are different colored. And I'm sure he appreciates it instead of me just sitting on them. So let's look at this one other side here. So now I also put nails all the way down the 2x6 leg on both sides. And I have hammers, sledgehammer, a crowfoot hammer, like a carpenter's hammer. Then I have some gardening tools, an extra chainsaw chain in my files, some more hammers, a baby ball peen, and then a little mason spade to throw on if we're doing foundation or putting some cement block in. But I mean, I could see all of this stuff now, you know? So whenever I just don't have to throw all this in a box and look for it. It's not on the floor. It's not all over the place. This really makes a huge difference. And I put a couple of little extra screws into this piece of wood. I just had an extra piece of wood. I screwed it to the wall, and I took some of those extra screws and I made like posts. And I got 2 digging shovels up and 2 scooping shovels up, and then I drilled a hole through my hatchet here, just a little one, you know. I just drilled a little hole through my hatchet so I can put that up as well. So I mean, these little DIY tricks, I'm using up free wood, I'm using free nails, and now I've got organization, and I got a free shelf. And I could put at least 250 pounds on each one. You know what I'm saying? So I hope this helps somebody. If you like these little type of things, I know I rambled on a lot, but I just wanted to see that I'm actually using it instead of just making something and giving it away or throwing it away or whatever. You know, like, I know it's 2 different pieces of wood up here. It's not a fashion show. It works. It's reinforced. It's screwed in. And I put a little bit lighter stuff up here. And now this stuff isn't all over the floor. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Meadow loves it. Huh, Meadow? Meadow, you love it? I know you love it. Look, you love it, don't you? My little helper. All right, give us a like and a subscribe if you think this was a good idea. Maybe this gave you an idea to do a small shelf or something, half the size. or put some wood out on the wall so you can make your own little like pegboard. Like I didn't have to buy the pegboard now. I just get this. I take this off when I need it. I put the nails just for this and I put it back on. I take this off. I put it back on. I take this off and put it back on. You know what I mean? I always know where my stuff's at. Disturbing Kreationz DIY. Subscribe. We're out.